the things that concern folk at the moment, not least the cost of living crisis and making ends meet in the middle of it. That's why so many of them are talking about tax cuts. And they hear from the top table that we are led by people who think that a reduction in inflation is the best possible tax cut. It's not a tax cut. It just means whatever money you've got left after you've bought the essentials and you've paid your taxes goes perhaps a little further because the prices don't go up quite so much.
Well, I mean, the emphasis on inflation can feel quite academic, I suppose, when it's articulated by people like Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt, of whom the criticism is that they're rather technocratic. But of course, it is essential. It is absolutely essential, as Damien said, to establishing the solid foundations on which you then can move to tax cuts. And I've no doubt that the party should be moving to tax cuts. And I think, the most positive thing in a practical sense that one can say about Liz Truss's intervention at this point is that she is trying to make the case ahead of the budget for, I think, where she was, on very strong ground, which is particularly on the corporation tax that she wanted to bring, the tax cut rather, that she wanted to bring in, planning reforms. I mean, all of those things I think are essential and have been rather sidelined by the current government. But I'm interested. Of course, I'm interested in what Don is saying about what's motivating people to come to his party in quite unusual numbers. But I also think that the party's missing something if it feels that tax is the only thing that's going to motivate people. There are huge, big cultural questions out there at the moment, which the party's been very reticent to try and articulate. And yet we've seen, only in the last couple of weeks, Rishi Sunak make a sort of bold and brave intervention, quite rightly so, on the Gender Reform Act issue in Scotland. And I think this will start to pay dividends for the party as well. He needs to be articulating things that, many of us feel have been sort of slightly abandoned by the party in this rush for necessary economic stability, of course, but that's not the whole agenda.
Can I jump in on that point?
Please, Don.
On that very point, the Scottish point that you raised, I was unequivocally told by a mother, if we don't support the fact that girls can be girls and they don't get men who call themselves women walking into the same loo or bathrooms or whatever that there is, then she cannot support us. She said, my 14-year-old and I think 14, 15 now, year-old, must be able to walk into a safe space. And that's one of the big issues. You're right. That's what people have been telling us as well.
That's interesting.